I'll ask a very personal question to my heart, John. So I've been feeling a calling, a craving. You live the life of a farmer,
Yes.
which is a life, one, in nature, but also sometimes in isolation. Sometimes
Yes.
seclusion, in my feeling, is something that is necessary for humans to introspect, to connect, to find themselves inside. When we were on our way here, I was telling you that I spent a big part of my life as a businessman with the noise and the travel, and I feel such a longing to just leave everything and disappear and be a farmer. Or at least allow myself a few months a year in a hermitage somewhere, in a monastery somewhere, right? Where I can just find that stillness. Where is that coming from?
Yes. Well, yes, I suppose it's balance, you see. One extreme leads to another. And yes, I've often thought that the reason that some people do not turn this way is because they're not sufficiently unhappy.
Is there something called sufficiently unhappy? That level of happiness that triggers you to give up?
People are just, happy enough with this life, and then they don't bother. They're content. Well, fair enough. They'll continue until something spurs them to something better. We are free. You can live as we like. We have the choice. Some hear the calling and some don't. Maybe they've got to live a few more lives or live a bit longer, or wait until something happens, wait until their bubble of creation goes pop. They might look for something else.
And you believe this calling is important for every one of us?
It depends what people want. Some people don't. Some people want to be a champion swimmer or something, or, people have all sorts of desires. Maybe they need to grow up a bit. It's very natural, just very interesting in life. What happens to our childhood? Where's it gone? We've just grown up, haven't we? Grown out of it. What happened to life itself in old age? We just grow out of it. Done it, in a sense. Ready to move on. When you've travelled the world, I've seen a lot of the world, in a sense, you've done enough. You lose that. They're always looking for something else.
You said they're unhappy. They're not unhappy enough. Does that mean unhappiness is a necessary part of life?
I have to be careful of my words, Mo. I'm all too aware how easy it is to speak foolishly. I don't like to speak with too much assurance about these things. I can speak from my own experience. Perhaps it's unwise to venture too far into commentary on other people's lives. There's a very good phrase, God knows, and I do not. I think I'll leave it at that.
What's happiness to you then?
Strangely enough, I was on another podcast a week or two ago called How to Die Happy. I think I'm the last person to ask that question. So I've never thought of myself as a particular happy man. I spent a long time looking back over my life trying to think when I'd been happy. I suppose, I'm sure I have, many times really, but I think I always found the word happy, too small. It was just, it wasn't big enough to describe what what I felt, I suppose, at those times. I think something that always is very full of meaning for me is I like to come up here in the early morning and in winter, on clear nights, the stars. I like to pause outside the church for a few moments and lean back over one of the tombstones and look up at the stars. That usually fills me with a sense of well-being, a sense of home, a sense of belonging. I think those are some of the probably. It's deeper, it's bigger than happiness, isn't it? It's somehow more total in its both its calling and its response. Like the depth of meditation call. I've spent much time in the great spaces of this life, not only on the open fields, but in deserts, been to sea a few times. I've always felt happy in these conditions of great expansion, somehow losing myself in something bigger than me. I've been happy with animals. I can't think of many experiences of happiness with people. Yes, I wouldn't say I'm not a very people-y sort of person, really. Yes, most of I've never taken much pleasure in human work either. The human arts have never meant as much to me as nature. Human cleverness has never really meant much to me. I don't really like talking much.
But you should talk a lot. We like you to talk.
Well, I've been rather pushed into it on occasions like this, but
I'm sorry to push you. We love
you feel that the most meaningful of communications is silence. You know, the fields don't use words, do they? And yet they communicate, don't they? See, there's the communication of the heart. Yes, that's in grouping. You see, is happiness. The real satisfaction in man comes not from the transitory. It comes when you get into the deeper recesses of the heart. This is when life begins to take on meaning, deeper meaning. You see, rather like the peace, the freedom, the love of this world is a transitory thing, an unreliable thing of a certain duration which then runs out or finishes or something. You see, real happiness needs to be of the eternal. Yes, I think that's why I say it's not big enough. But when the question is asked in the context of this world, yes, nothing of this world is ultimately sufficiently satisfactory for the depths of human craving. We've got to reach up into the big country. That's how I think for me as a young man, that's why I sought out the deserts and the high mountains and the open seas, because there I could sort of get the first taste of what I now find in meditation. This infinite expansion, this infinite access of the unfailing, of the glory that has no end, from glory to glory. Yes, and then in a way the pleasures of this life just are like tinsel, aren't they? They really are. Just child's play.
Beautifully stated. In Islam we have a description for this life. We say it's as if a traveler on a very long journey sat under a tree for an hour
and
then went on to continue his journey.
Yes.
When I talk to you, John, I feel that you're that traveler.
Yes.
That your life here in this earth is sort of an hour. You're sitting for that hour, going like, yeah, can we go on with the journey?
Yes.
It feels that you, and probably many of us should, you grasp the impermanence of this,
Yes.
the insignificance
Yes.
of all of the little desires and nuisances and challenges, when in reality the bigger journey, the true journey of belonging, is really the real journey.
Yes, yes, it is of belonging. Well, but you see, it does serve a purpose because we learn by our mistakes, and it's only by it's only by disappointment or by loss is that we are motivated to seek further. If this world gave us the satisfaction we want, the happiness we want, why would we search further? And for some it does. Well, God bless them. Then maybe they're not destined. That's okay. Maybe they're not ready. Maybe they're still not ready to move up into high school. Yes, that's how I see it. Some students are more ready than others to move up. We're all different, aren't we? How we learn, what we yearn for.
I think I will end us here. I will leave us with the thought of high school.
Yes.
I think it's really something that most of us don't think about. Most of us run in the playground.
Yes.
We try to go through life and grab this and play that.
Yes.
When there could be another school, there could be another stage, there could be another.
Yes, indeed.
I love how you constantly refer to silence as the infinite.
Well, it's the threshold of the infinite. It's when talking about meditation, it's a very good access point because it's non-contentious. We all know what it is. It's very easy to talk about, really. If you talk about spirit, it's, we get a bit nervous and we get out of our depth. But silence is simple and comprehensible. That's why it's convenient to use it. Silence, stillness, space. Yes. I like to come back to it constantly. If people talk to me, or I get talking, I get uncomfortable, come back to stillness, feet on the ground, and again I feel that connection, that invisible hand, as it were, to hold on to. And especially when I'm being interviewed like this, and I always get a bit nervous I'm going to say something stupid. I feel safe when I'm holding on to this. And of course, I now realize that this is the Savior. This is the presence. This is the reality, the spiritual reality of what's called Jesus, of God, the Savior. This is what saves us from drowning in this ocean of temporality, this ocean of corruption, which is the world. This is the rock. And it's so easy to access. It's dead easy. You don't need belief. It's often just a matter of, it's almost as sitting by the river and feeding the ducks, because instinctively, naturally, you'll feel, in contrast to the restlessness of your life, you just feel the rest of quiet waters and just things being natural. The trees, they speak. They convey their message, you see. Come back to being natural. The human problem is that we're unnatural. And there's nothing more natural in this world than meditation.